Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today, presented by Caesar Sportsbook and Casino. Fun slate of games coming up today on CBS and all around the NFL. You got the Bills and the Ravens, Jaguars and Eagles, Jets and Steelers, Browns and Falcons. Can't wait to see how Cordero Patterson does one more time. Chargers at the Texans. How will the Chargers defense hold up without the guys that they needed to defend like we saw last week? Will the Texans take advantage of it? Brandon Cooks and Dameon Pierce for your fantasy lineup. To break down these games, now we're joined by our buddy, Jason Canfora. So, JLC, you've been on a hot streak so far. Let's keep it going, helping people win a lot of money here with your picks. And we'll start with the first game here. Jaguars at Eagles. The Eagles are 6.5-point favorites, over under 45.5. Some weather concerns potentially in Philadelphia. How will that impact this game?
Well, it could be fairly significant, although I think both these teams are, even on the best of days, willing to kind of play brass knuckle football, right? Play bully ball and get down and dirty in the ground game. Yeah, I think it could affect some props. It could affect the total. It's that half point. 6.5 is a bit rich for me. So under those circumstances, I'm going to take the Jags. Now, you could also sprinkle a little something on Philadelphia to win by 1 to 6 points. That's going to get you about plus 380 last time I checked. So that might intrigue someone who is worried about the Eagles' ability to cover. I think Jalen Hurts, he's been averaging about 56 rushing yards per game. Those rushing props were under 50 last I checked. I would lean into that. I think this is a game where he may have to carry the ball a little more than what we've seen in the last few weeks. I also like the Eagles' first half over-under 13.5. I like them to go over. Their second quarter right now, Jamie, what their scoring differential in the second quarter is off the charts. No teams had a higher scoring differential in any one quarter in the first three games of the season since 1950. They're like plus 50-something in the second quarter. I do believe that once they get going after slow starts, that offense becomes a really difficult matchup, and then people make some adjustments at halftime. So I like the Eagles to score a couple of touchdowns or more in the first half.
24 points in that second quarter against Washington last week, so keep that momentum rolling. We certainly love that from a fantasy perspective as well. Next game we're looking at here is the Bills at the Ravens. The Bills are 3-point favorites on the road despite coming off that loss last week against Miami. The over-under 51. Again, another game that could have some weather concerns. So, JLC, how do you see this one going?
Look, I think as much as we want to talk about the 2019 MVP Lamar Jackson, who's playing at a better level now and being asked to do more now in that offense, frankly, than he was even in that MVP season, especially in terms of throwing the ball on early downs. And Josh Allen, who looks like he's going to be in the MVP conversation every year that he's healthy. There is a real disparity with the defenses here. And the more I break this game down, that's what I keep coming back to. Baltimore hemorrhages passing plays of 20 yards or more. And it's not just this year. It goes back to last year. Two different coordinators, different schemes. It still happens. That's a problem. You look at just their overall passing numbers. Baltimore 32nd against the pass again. You look at a guy last week in Devontae Parker, who was the only Patriot you had to worry about, the only guy who had any twitch. Jacoby Myers, their best receiver, didn't even play. Parker still goes for 150, and that's with Mac Jones throwing up jump balls that are intercepted. They could have had even more yardage there. I just think the Buffalo Bills, you look at them, they either win big or they lose one-score games. So to me, this could be a game where they roll it up. I like them to clear that 3, maybe clear that 3 somewhat easily. I still think Lamar Jackson could throw a couple of touchdown passes here. You can get plus money on that. But Allen, look for him to go over his yardage totals. And Diggs, they can't stop the main guy. They couldn't stop Hill and Waddle the week before that. They're lucky Garrett Wilson barely played in week 1. Oh, yeah, and their best pass rusher for Baltimore, Justin Houston, is on the shelf. I like the Bills here.
Michael Pierce on the shelf as well. We'll see if JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, has any sort of impact on this defense. But, yeah, a lot of guys missing again for Baltimore, so it could be tough. Could be good for the Bills, who should have scored more points last week. 90 plays and 63 pass attempts for Josh Allen. Typically see a lot more scoring in a game like that. Jets at the Steelers. You got Zach Wilson coming back. The Steelers are still 3.5-point favorites at home in this one. The over-under 41.5. So will the Jets franchise quarterback back? At least we expect him to be the franchise quarterback. Will that change things for you and how you look at this game?
I like the under here. It's been the year of the under, right? 29-18-1. These are two teams bereft of a whole lot of offensive innovation. The Steelers have some playmakers. They can't really get the ball to them because of the construct of the offensive line and some of Trubisky's limitations. Wilson hasn't played football in a while. I expect him to be rusty, and I wasn't a big Wilson guy to begin with, especially against a defense like this that can attack him with zone blitzes, that could throw different looks Adam, yeah, I know Watt's not playing, but this looks like the field could be a real issue. I like Pittsburgh's defense coming off extreme rest. When you talk to people in that organization after that Cleveland game and said, what's going on here? Is it that Watt's not playing? Does it all fall apart? They said, no, look at our snap count. Tomlin runs a tough camp. They basically played an extra quarter against the Bengals. They played a New England team that just wanted to bludgeon them with 2 running backs, right? Physical game, and then 3 days later they faced the Browns, who are better in their play-action pass game than people give them credit for. With all this rest and this much time to prepare for a quarterback who's probably going to be overwhelmed, and with the Steelers lacking explosion in their passing game, I like the under. And 16.5, the Jets to go under that will get you about plus 140 for the Jets team total.
So curious to see how the Jets offense will look with Zach Wilson. Will he continue to throw the ball to the same level that Joe Flacco was, which was basically 50 pass attempts per game? I doubt it. Will the run game get going for the Jets? It's going to be tough, like you said, in this matchup. And can the Steelers offense get going? Like you said, it's been a lack of innovation. So we could see, as Najee Harris has said, back off, let us get going, and we'll see if he can get the run game going for Pittsburgh as well. You got the Bears and the Giants. This may set back football several years because I don't think we're going to see a lot of throwing, certainly from the Chicago side. The Giants are 3-point favorites at home. The over-under is 39. Again, another game that could be impacted by some of the weather there in the East Coast.
Yeah, it looks like, Vegas and the betting markets want to push that number down to a point where you feel like you have to go over. Not me. I'm going under. Justin Fields, he's got some of the lowest passing props we've seen ever. He's going against a D coordinator in Wink Martindale who will throw all kinds of looks at him, and frankly did last year in Chicago when he was running Baltimore's defense without a lot of talent on that Baltimore offense. And the best stuff Fields did in that game against him was run. And if he plays a lot of man, which he tends to do because Wink blitzes all the time, then I like Fields as a runner, but not as a passer. Daniel Jones, you can get plus money on him to throw an interception. Go look at his home road splits. He pretty much has one baked into the cake. He just did it on Monday night. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think both these teams are willing to win ugly. They're not out to prove they're anything other than they are. I'm not sure either of these regimes really looks at their current quarterback and says he's the guy. So I think they're more inclined to keep it simple, stupid, try to win 17-14, something like that. Try to play keep it simple, stupid football. Rely on their ability to run the ball, to churn up clock, and to get a big play here or there with defense. And from a prop perspective, Saquon Barkley's leading the NFL in scrimmage yards, and I expect him to see a lot of the football today, including at least 19 rushes.
Love the setup for Saquon Barkley. Love the setup for Khalil Herbert as well, stepping in for the injured David Montgomery. This is going to be a lot of running, and both these running backs should have some success. The one sleeper I do like in this game is Richie James because of the injuries of the Giants receiving corps. He should get about 5 catches, but whatever he does with them, better in PPR than non-PPR. JLC, thanks so much for your insight and information. Here's the picks for JLC for today. He likes the Jaguars to cover the 6.5 there against Philadelphia. Likes the Bills to cover the 3 against the Ravens. Like the under there in the Jets and Steelers, and the under in the Bears and the Giants.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.